Hey, boys and girls, back to our 13 colonies life in colonial America lesson. On Monday, you learned about the New England colonies, and we learned how the terrain or the geography was really hilly and it was rough, and the jagged coastlines and the rocky soil. It was bad for farming, and we learned how it was really cold in the winter and harsh, and a lot of people died that first winter, especially. And we learned about shipbuilding and farming and logging, and how farming was not a good industry there. That would not have been a good job. Several of you said that, and that really would not have been a good job to plan to have in the mid New England colonies, because the land just was not good for farming. You might have a small garden in your yard, but there were not large scale farms because the soil just wasn't good for it. Lots of shipbuilding and fishing and things centering really around the water in those jobs. Well, today we are going to focus on the mid-Atlantic colonies. So we kind of started up in the north colonies in the New England area, and we're working our way down. So those New England colonies were up here. Here are those mid-Atlantic colonies. They included New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, which is this little hook one right here, and Delaware, which is that tiny little purple line that my entire mouse covers up. So a very small colony. It's actually still a very small state today. The geography of the mid-Atlantic colonies have lots of different physical features. The Appalachian Mountains, we know, like I said on Monday, that those start way down here in Georgia and they go all the way up the country, all the way up the eastern part of the United States. So it would be a safe prediction to say that tomorrow we're going to learn that the Appalachian Mountains are also in the southern colonies. Coastal lowlands, and what that just means is that as you get closer, so you've got the mountains up here kind of where my mouse arrow is moving, and then as you get closer to the coast, that land gets lower and flatter, just like when we have our hills here in Georgia and where we are in the Piedmont region. And when we move up on into those Georgia mountains, it gets really mountainy. But then as you move out towards the beach in Georgia or South Carolina, then the land gets flatter. And as you get down towards the coast, it gets flatter and lower to go down to the ocean. Good harbors. And we learned what a harbor was on Monday. And there's just lots of good little harbors here, lots of places where ships could come in and they could dock and they could just be and bring in goods and take out goods to trade with England and other countries. Lots of rivers in the Mid-Atlantic region. We know the Hudson River is in the Mid-Atlantic region. We learned about Henry Hudson discovering that. The St. Lawrence River kind of comes down in here. Also in the the Mid-Atlantic region. I'm sorry, guys. I'm talking all over myself here. So lots of rivers that they could use for moving goods up and down the rivers in boats. That would have been much faster to do that than to try to carry them by like horse and carriage or whatever, because they didn't have cars yet, didn't have big, like nice fancy highways like we have. So it took a long time to travel from one place to another. And they also had very fertile land. And what that means is that the soil had lots of nutrients in it, that nice humus soil that Miss Venable taught you about. So it made the area perfect for farming. There were lots of farms there. You might have a decent sized garden in your yard, but you could also run a small farm all the way up to the further you got down, some even really large farms in that area. So really, really good soil for growing lots of things. If you've already read the article or listened to me read it, I hope you'll listen to me read it. I know you get tired of hearing my voice, but I kind of underline some things and go through some vocabulary, so I hope you'll listen to me read that. But if you read it or listened to it already, you know that there were corn and wheat were grown there a lot in this colony region, so lots of good farming. And the climate, well, it was moderate, which means in the middle, which makes sense because these were the middle colonies or mid-Atlantic. So it wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold. It does have cold winters, yes, but nothing like the severe, just bone-chilling cold of the New England colonies. And the summers are nice and warm, and really you can go out and you could go swimming, but nothing like the sweltering 100-degree heat of the summer in the southern part of the colonies, which of course we know is now the United States. And our climate hasn't really changed since then. It's still more moderate in this part of our country right here than it is further south or further north. Although I will say there are some places right up here in northern New York that get that bone-chilling cold, but that's because they're really close to these New England colonies. So even within this region, the climate can vary. The further north you go, the colder it's going to be in the winter. All right, jobs for the Mid-Atlantic colonists. Well, let's think about it. Looking at these pictures and knowing what I know about the fact there were lots of good harbors, it's near the Atlantic Ocean, there are lots of rivers, the land is fertile, I'm predicting farms. I'm predicting it's going to tell me fishing. I'm predicting all kinds of things related to those two industries, especially based on those pictures I'm looking at. Let's see if I'm right. Bet I am. Oh, yeah. Fertile soil in the mid-Atlantic region made this area perfect for farming. So colonists in this area grew enough crops to sell to other regions and even other countries. They grew many types of grain like corn, rye, and wheat for trade. So rye and wheat, those are usually used in bread making. And corn, I mean, well, we know what corn is, right? You can grind it up for cornmeal to make cornbread. You can eat it like straight off the cob. You can cook it, and you can take it off the cob and eat it. Either way, you can eat corn lots of different ways. The rich soil and climate, because the climate was really moderate, you didn't have these ridiculously crazy, cold, snowy, icy winters or these insane hot summers that we have in the South. So that made it a great place to raise livestock. Livestock are farm animals that you raise for the purpose of usually making money off of them by either killing them and selling their meat, or in the case of cows, you can also milk them and sell the milk. Other livestock that we might think about are like pigs and other animals that you raise up really so that you can kill them and eat them and sell the meat. Just is what it is. They also grew corn and grain, that rye, that wheat. So they sold those. They used them for food, but they also used them to feed the livestock because the animals have to eat too. And then, oh, I was right again. The good harbors and the coastal areas, and then also those rivers and stuff, provided this region with valuable fishing opportunities. So think about it. They're going to have ships, right? They're still going to need boats. So there's probably some boat building, ship making going on. They might also have gotten ships from the New England colonies, the people up there who had made them. They might have bought them, they could have traded for them. So those were also jobs that might have been important for mid-Atlantic colonists. So that's all for the PowerPoint and the video of me talking for today. No, it's not just kidding. People, I have an extra slide today. These people were from many different countries. I forgot about this part. They're from all over. Most of the people in the New England colonies we learned yesterday were from England. That's why they called it New England. But these mid-Atlantic colonies, if you've already read the article, you read about this, they came from all over. They came from France. They came from Sweden. They came from Holland. They came from all different countries in Europe. They were settlers from many different cultures, many different religions, all made their homes here. A lot of these people came for freedom of religion. It was very important to them. And so the mid-Atlantic colonies, a lot of these people, it was very important to them that they be able to practice their religion the way they wanted to. Because remember, back in a lot of their home countries, including England, everybody kind of was expected to sort of do the same thing as far as God goes and religion. And so these people wanted to be free to practice their religion the way they thought was right. And so they came here for that opportunity. There were political matters, like they had to have rules and laws and different kinds of things like that. And so most of the people in this region lived in large towns. And so they would have meetings called town halls. And they would get together and they would discuss the problems. And it was usually the men would get together and they would discuss the issues and they would kind of like have a vote and they would agree, and most people at least would try to come to like an agreement on what they should do. So most of the people lived in towns, and so that's where they settled things. That really is all I have for you today, boys and girls, on the Mid-Atlantic colonies. I know that's a lot of information. You can go back through and look at this PowerPoint video again. You can mute me if you'd like. And don't forget, if you haven't read the article yet, to also do that, or you can listen to me read it. You don't have to do both. If you would like to print a copy to look at, if you have a printer at your house, your parents can pull up the article that doesn't have me reading, and that will print. There's a quiz attached to it. You do not have to do the quiz. That is not part of the assignment. It just came with the file when I downloaded it. But make sure you go and enter information on your Foursquare, and I look forward to reading those. Make sure you've got at least 3 things in each section of your Foursquare, things that relate to that topic. If it says climate, please don't write about jobs. Come on, guys, you're smart. I know you'll do it. So you will be graded based on 12 points for your Foursquare, based on having at least 3 items in each one. Yes, you can earn more than 12 points if you put more than 3 items in at least one category. I'll give you a point for each item as long as it's correct and you've got it in the right section of your Foursquare. Bye. See you later.